India equities really need at this juncture. But let's just focus and talk about CONCOR. There has been a tariff hike to offset the hike in railway haulage rate. We would also like to get in the outlook on EXIM and domestic volumes. What's the scope for improvement then on the EBITDA margins, etc.? Joining us right now, Mr. V. Kalyanaram, the CMD at Container Corp of India, joins us on the show right now. Mr. Kalyanaram, thanks so much for joining in. 3 weeks back, Indian Railways announced the haulage rate of 5%, hike of 5% that is, which is not as steep as earlier years. Based on the tariff hikes taken by you in the month of May and August, will it be adequately covered, or will you be taking more in the coming months to fully pass through the burden?
Morning. See, first I want to clarify, in the August we have not hiked our tariff. That's regarding the service charges we started collecting for the services we are providing. However, now this particular hike in the rail haulage by Indian Railways, we are absorbing, because we want to give a quality and cost-effective service to our customers. So for the time being, we are not increasing any haulage. And I'm sure my margins will be maintained, because our customers are supporting us and we are getting our increase in our volumes. And our guidance, we will stand by it, and we are very sure that we'll be able to achieve that.
Is the segment to a higher prices? Or you think that prices are inelastic? Since you enjoy a monopoly in the rate transport, if you are able to charge more, it's not going to have an impact on your total freight movement.
It's not a question of, having a good market share so we can get more from the customer. That's not at all our viewpoint any time. We would like to give a cost-effective solution. Our services, we want to give a value service, we want to give a quality service. So whatever we will do is, we will be maintaining our margins in a reasonable level. So this particular hike, I feel that we need not go for that hike immediately. So we are comfortable. So we would like to give a better service to our customer, and that will bring more customers. Maybe some of the customers who are indecisive of coming onto rail, they will be getting added, and that's good for our company as well as for the country, because that will reduce the CO2 footprints. And this will add to the ultimate objective of the government, that logistics cost to be controlled and ease of doing business. So we will also be contributing a little bit towards that.
After the strong volumes in export-import and domestic segment in H1, what kind of double-digit volume growth are you aiming for in the second half? And also, what's your outlook on the export scenario?
See, exports a little bit are of concern to us, because I think the exports are not picking up as of now if we see the general macro trend in India. But imports are coming well into India, that's not a problem. And the volume, whatever we could see in the H1, we are very sure that we will be able to maintain that volume growth in H2 also. And here I would like to mention, like in H1, if you can see the results, our volume growth is, in fact, our profit growth is a little higher in the percentage terms compared to our volume growth, because we are able to build up those circuits and double stack running well into the system, and that's giving the results.
Analysts right now are seeing scope of further EBITDA margin expansion of 200 bips. Would you say that they are right in their assumption?
I will not do that guesswork, but hoping for the best may not be a bad thing. Let them hope, and we are working towards that.
Some would also argue direct freight corridor, which was the turning point for CONCOR, whereas it is moving in the right direction in terms of implementation, in terms of execution, it's far behind the curve. Sometimes they have a land issue, sometimes they have execution challenges. I remember tracking your company. I've been tracking CONCOR for about 9 years now, and whatever numbers which we had for 2020 looks like, based on a DCF calculation, they will not be met.
You see, look, I'll go by the forecast given by my colleagues in dedicated freight corridor. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on sorting out these problems and connecting. And at least they will connect Mundra and Pipavav. We are hopeful of getting connected. And if you look at the way we are working, the DFC will add on to our transit assurances once it comes in. Otherwise, we are able to really turn out a good number of double stack runnings, even with IR system. It's well set now. System is geared up and things are moving on very well. And with the DFC, with all these bottlenecks the government is focusing and trying to sort out, it should happen. The forecast they have given is the next year it will be done. So I would not to take any much guesses on that, but as soon as it comes into operation, we will be immediately able to utilize that. We don't require any further preparation for utilizing DFC. That is the point where we are going for our calculations, and maybe the analysts are also calculating in the same way. The requirement of the working requirement, the working environment required for working on the DFC, we already created in our own company.
I'm going to shift away from CONCOR and try and understand your read on the freight movement and what it means for the economy. I mean, you are in the business of moving freight. Freight movement is an indication of where the economy is headed. So in last 3 to 6 months or last 6 to 12 months, are you getting a sense that the freight and the cargo movement has started, or is it still very flat?
No, it started. Cargo movement is happening. That is how we are able to even get good numbers in our domestic sector. In domestic, if you see a H1, we could record almost around 18% growth in our movement. That's just because the cargo is moving from one corner of the country into the other corner and the consumption is increasing. So the GDP growth and the thumb rule what we follow in logistics sector, any GDP growth of 1% requires a 1.5% growth in logistics. And there is GDP growth, there is increase in the real income of the people. So it is happening. That I have no doubt. The cargo growth is there, cargo movement is happening.
Okay, Mr. Kalyanarama, thanks so much for joining in. There's been an upgrade as well on CONCOR coming in this morning.
Thank you.
And by the looks of it, it seems like rightly so. And the management seems pretty confident of growth going forward. What are we up to right now when it comes